Watch you! Under this moonlit glow, a mess of spells, potions spill everywhere, but you're just still here, catching my stare. Oh, weary heart so steady, witch girl so wild. One chocolate charm, and I'm big girl. No more hiding, feelings start to show. Valentine's magic, let the feelings flow. Heart watch, beating fast tonight. Your smile's the spell that feels so right. From clumsy curses to sweet stolen glances, watch me fall for you in this Valentine. That spell. El Cachorro versus Witch Watch. Happy Valentine's, let's cast that spell.
What's up, Catrites? Welcome back to another edition of El Cachorro vs. Anime. Welcome to the Romance Edition for the month of February. I thought I'd do a little theme and do all romance animes. I need to get moving on it because I should have had this one out a while ago. It took me a little longer than I thought. But we are going to dive into our romance anime today. So make sure you like and subscribe for more. So today we are going to talk about Witch Watch. It's an anime that I found on Netflix. And I watched it a while back, so I decided to watch it again here to cover it for this month. I guess you could say it could fit in Halloween month as well, but we'll save that for horror. So is it romance? It's a slice of life rom com fantasy shonen. Put a bunch of different things in there. So we have a group of characters. Our romance is between obviously these two. It's a Japanese anime, so it's a one-sided romance at this point. So this is an ongoing manga. This anime aired fall of last year, and it has a season 2 on the way. For animes go, this is a longer one, so it's almost like almost like 2 seasons. It's 24 episodes, so it's a good long one there for it to watch. So definitely recommend it. It's fun. It's kind of goofy. It takes itself lighthearted. There's a lot of breaking the fourth wall kind of jokes where they like to bring up, and they know animes exist, and they like to bring up mangas and anime and play off those tropes and name drop a few things here and there, including one that caught me by surprise. We'll talk about that in this video as well. Since it is 24 episodes, to keep it shorter, I'm going to just do 2 parts. The first 12 episodes in this video, and the back half will be in the next video, which we'll try and get out in the next few days. So if you're interested, make sure you subscribe, like, and subscribe so you can find part 2. It's written and illustrated by Kenta Shinodahara, and it was serialized in Shunshan's Shonen Manga magazine. To read it, and the anime is done by Bilberry Animation Studio. So the story is we have Niku, the witch here, who's returning from witch school. She takes an Morito as her familiar, who is an ogre. So we're taking fantasy options, and putting them in real life situations, slice of life, real life situations. So they all look human, but they have their special powers. Her mother is a prophetic witch who saw a bad omen linked to her daughter, so that's why she wanted him to watch her, so as a protector. And we add some other characters along the way so it's pretty much about obviously there's this big omen, there's a big threat overlooking that they're looking out for, but it's her trying to just pretty much just sitcom kind of stuff, everyday kind of things, doing little tasks, some side stories. Her desire is to be a witch that helps people, so a lot of it is her doing good deeds to help, use her magic to help people, to help her become a full-fledged good witch, and just some hijinks along the way. Uh, Definitely was a fun one. I mean, wouldn't say it's the top of the tier for me, but I did enjoy that. I totally enjoyed this one. I thought it was, had some cute, funny moments, and and you had those surprising, heartfelt moments every now and then that really sink in there to you. So it's definitely worth a watch. We'll break it down. The breakdown. I'll begin our breakdown here. So we open up with two kids saying goodbye to each other. This is our main characters. This is Niku getting ready to go off to witch school, saying bye her byes to Marito here, or Maui, and that she can't. She'll come back as soon as she gets done with witch school. She's gonna come back to see him. And you can obviously see right here she has deep feelings for him there, and he's the boy just doing his boy stuff. So then we cut to modern day, and first it opens up with Morito being attacked by a group of bullies. I don't have a picture of him, but it would do with a Mohawk's the leader, and they're coming after him for an incident that he interfered with earlier. And we see him dodging all their attacks. They can't lay a finger on him until he finally just lets them hit him. And his dad's asking about that, and he goes, "You know I can't fight back. It's easier just to let them hit me." Because there was an incident where his ogre strength, when he fought back against the bully, injured someone. So now he refuses to use his. So he refrains from using his power, even though he's learned how to control his powers better. But he refrains. It's easier than he says. It's just easier just to let them get their lick in and go away. But the dad did tells him that Niku is finished her schooling and is returning, and that she has picked him to be her familiar, which kind of freaks me out. What do you mean a familiar? That's supposed to be an animal. Because, well, technically, ogres are the descendants of animals. Ogres are from a tiger, and I can't remember the other animal that took on human capabilities and mated with a human, and that's where ogres came from. So technically, they fall under animal. And it's more about her being a protector. If anything, it's more about him just being her bodyguard and protector than it is about it being not really him being like a slave or whatever. So then we see her returning home, and she can't wait to see Marito. She's obviously been missing him, and she's excited to see the boy that she envisions how much that he's probably grow into a good looking man. And then she accidentally busts through the patio window. At first, he thinks he's getting attacked by a burglar. And she is amazed with his looks. He's seems at first at least a little taken back by her as well. So he goes instantly into his, because he is a uptight and prim and trim guy. So he goes, right, okay, well, we got to clean this mess now. She goes, no, wait, I can fix it. She have a spell. She's like, I want to show. So she wants to show off her magic. So she goes to use a spell to fix it, but she needs a item that's precious to him. So it's his favorite coffee mug. So she uses magic. She fixes the glory. The catch is the coffee mug breaks into pieces, because to fix something you have to give up something. She just fixes that by making something else broken, which he wishes he would have knew about ahead of time, because that was his favorite coffee mug. So she wants to show off her magic more. So she says she could turn anything to flat as paper. He refuses to go along with it. She goes, well, I'll do it on myself. So she does it to herself, and she's flipping all around the room in the wind. And then the patio doors he opened it up after it got fixed, and she blows out it, causing him to go chasing after her. She ends up in a crack between two walls, and he can't reach and get her out, so he's freaking out. The same bully from the beginning shows up again, because that's apparently his house. And there's a flashback showing that, like I said, where he just would get beat up by bullies and wouldn't fight back. And she, something that she felt bad about always. But he decides he's going to show that he can use his powers, so he channels in his ogre ability, and he punches the wall, breaks a big hole in the wall so he can get her out just in time for her to turn back into her normal size. Of course, the Mohawk guy is all freaking out, like, "Hey, that's what you're gonna do my wall." So he's like, "We can fix it." So she uses that same broken spell again, and the thing she took that's most precious was his hair. So now he's bald. So I was like, "Ha!" I needed to get back at that guy anyways. So before they go home, they decide they need to go shopping, and she shows off another one of her spells where she can make things not weigh a thing. So the bags are super duper light. So of course that one amazes him. Like, wow, this is actually something that's pretty useful. But he'll say, maybe you shouldn't use your magic in public because he is, he knows that there's. His father did tell him that there's a bad omen around her, that something's bad, something evil, doomful is coming towards her. So he's being the protector. He's trying to be overprotective. So like, maybe not using your magic in public. And she, well, that's what I got to do. That's what my dream is. So while discussing that, they notice there's a fire and a person is stuck up there. So she's going to go up there and get him. She's like, you don't know how to, you that's too much for you. So he rides up there. So he's like, you just fly. I'll save the person. All three of them end up being too heavy for the broom wand. It's technically a wand. So she has to use the light spell on both him and her. And whenever it's used on a human, the person comes like an airhead, and they don't hold, they just say inner thoughts kind of things. They just talk silly, but they end up saving her, and then they go back to get their bags, and then then once the light spell wears off, it causes things to be twice as heavy for I guess a while. I imagine it wears off as well. So the bags got super heavy, and then both of them get super duper heavy and can't move. So they kind of wrap up like, yeah, okay, the Magic's got some catches and clumsy day and everything like that. And she tries to, she's kind of, trying to push, a little romantic stuff at him, but he's too locked up with how he needs to protect her and stuff like that. Then we go to where she starts going to a human's high school, and she's excited. And they end up being in the same class. To which he also says, "Don't tell people you're a witch. Don't use your magic." What kind of she's not liking that. She wants, that's what she's wanting to do, but he's trying to protect her again. So she notices while all the kids are introducing themselves. The teacher introduces herself, and we get a little insight of the teacher that she's a huge manga person, but she doesn't want the class to know that because she thinks that they won't take her seriously as a teacher. So he's trying to erase something, and his eraser breaks on his pencil. So she tries to use a spell to make what's left of his eraser bigger, so he has some eraser to use. And she accidentally zaps his hair, causing the teacher to freak out. Like, what the hell? She even thinks reminds her of one of her manga guys. And when she goes to fix it, she makes his whole head huge. And then we get some hijinks of her trying to fix it. And then she makes his arm huge. And that's when he has to introduce himself to this class. So he looks kind of weird because he's trying to hide his arm. And after he gets done, he tries to get her to fix it. And as she's going to fix it, she gets caught on, which causes her to zap herself and make her entire body get huge. So she just straight up comes out and says, "I'm a witch. I have magic." Which the teacher knew there was supposed to be a witch in the class anyways. But so that ended right away. He's worried that it's going to cause problems with her and other classmates. They'd be scared of her. They go right to her. A couple of them would want to be friends with her immediately. So he's like, "Wow, okay, wow, maybe I was wrong." So we have these two here. Let's see. These are Yuri's the homeroom teacher. There's Kari. So that's Kari. And then the other one should be Kukumi. So she's kind of the more outgoing one. She's the shy, reserved one. She finds out this one she was having a hard time making friends too, and she automatically went up to her and asked her to be her friend. So she's the outgoing type that tries to wants people to fit in and make friends. So she's like, hey, well, come hang out with us. Let's go to a diner. So on the way there, three other guys try and hit on them, and she kind of just straight up rejects them. They go in the diner and they start talking about being a witch. They start asking him about Marito because she finds him cute. And she's like, well, we're childhood friends. And obviously, like I said, it's an anime. So she's like, oh no, childhood friends. And we live together. And she's like, oh, there's something going on with you guys. She's like, no, we're just, no, nothing. So she's trying to get her to hook her up with him. And she starts, naming off, making up all these bad qualities about him. Say he's, oh, he's, and some of them aren't too far off, but he's like, so she's trying to turn him off. Meanwhile, those three guys now are outside waiting on the girls to leave. And they got like brass knuckles and baseball bats, so it's like, what the hell? A little overkill. But Marito has been standing by guarding over him, and he jumps down and attacks them and knocks them all out. She, as they leave, that she does see his hair, because the males in animes always have to have some kind of spiky hairdo. So she knows he's there watching over her, and so but he's all like, oh, I'm happy she just made friends. You're not going to interrupt that. She deserves to have friends. So there's where he beats them up. So then the next day, there's a free period, and they all, instead of playing a game, they all want to, they want to see witch stuff. So she does a spell, like a gravity spell in the classroom, but that don't work. The teacher doesn't like that too much, so they decide to go outside, and she can make this bubble where inside the bubble, everybody has no gravity, so they can fly. And just by using thoughts. So she's letting them all fly around, because that's, just let them have some fun. Dude, a delivery truck accidentally drives up into the bubble, so it starts floating to the air, and then it floats out and it's getting ready to crash. And Marito Maui goes over and catches it and saves them. And now everybody's like, "Whoa, how's he have all this strength?" And she goes to cover for him, but he's like, "Nope, you did it. I'll do it." And he says, "I'm an ogre," and he's expecting to get backlash, and everyone's thought that was really cool. So he's actually kind of shocked that that wasn't the impression he was expecting to get. That people would be accepting. So then we get to the weekend, and she comes out in her pajamas, trying to see if she can get some kind of reaction out of him. But she kind of yells at her for coming out in her pajamas, saying, "Go put clothes on." It's like, you can't walk around like that. It's like, I am a boy after all. So she's like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, that means he's a mini. He has feelings, stuff like that. So like, she wants to wear something fancy, but all she has is her normal attire, which are these old style dresses. So she uses a magic spell. She touches and creates clothes off of a magazine. The problem with that spell is it only makes the part of the clothing it can see. So only the front is clothed, the back is transparent. So she wants him to see it, but so she's doing it. So it goes to this whole little routine where she makes sure she doesn't turn her back to him. Just get for him to give an opinion. He goes, "Well, you look good," and it's like, "But I like what you normally wear better. I like those dresses you wear better." It makes her super excited that he likes her normal clothing. So she runs in to go change, and accidentally turns her back to him so he can see her undergarments. Causes her to freak out, and he downplays it later. Like, I didn't see anything because there was a big freak out, and you threw a garbage can at me. But then he goes off like, why? So he gets really interested in her, saying he loves her outfit, and she's getting all excited, thinking he's like really finding her cute, and it's because he likes vintage clothing. So he's all about the materials. So he's like really into the clothes themselves, and not so much her. Then I don't know if this was after the fact or we supposed to have a time skip, but they go out on the front porch. There's all these boxes, which is supposedly a shipment from her previous residence, and she says it's a bunch of her collection of mangas. So as I said, we got a lot of more of the. We're gonna have a lot of anime manga jokes that will be referenced in here. So we know the teacher likes manga, then they're bringing up more manga here. When they were flying, the narrator was mentioning people would do their Dragon Ball Z poses. So there's a letter from her mom in there, pretty much saying that she's working on she's staying there where she can keep working on trying to discover the prophecy. She gives him some more information that is about raindrops and dogs, and gives him a piece of paper that will say, once the thread is gone, this sigil will fade away. So that way you'll know if you've taken care of it. Because I thank you for, and she thanks him for taking in the burden, and says, do not be afraid to scold her and keep her in line. and make sure she's, like that. So he takes that as an opportunity when she asks him to carry everything. He's like, no, you do it yourself. So the boxes are too heavy for her, so she uses a spell to create a clone of herself. The problem with this spell is it takes half of her purpose. It splits her pretty much in two pieces, so equal pieces. So there's two of her, but they still equal out to just the one that it was before. So it's still taking the same amount of her to carry the boxes, or so two of them have to carry the same box for that one of them the one to carry. And then she ends up going in the four pieces, splits it himself again into fours, and until he gets fed up and he carries the boxes in himself. And then we have them walking in the rain, and she's under her umbrella at first, and he tells her to. He's like, it's raining. I gotta be more careful. I need her closer to me. So he's like, hey, you should walk under my umbrella. He's doing for protection. She thinks he's trying to interlude to some romantic thing, that he's planning some romantic thing, and she's getting all excited. She runs into her friend who's kind of like, you guys are sharing an umbrella. What's going on? Well, you should come hang out with me. And she's like, no, not right now. Not right now. Because she thinks something's going on. And the rain stops and they go, she's like, hey, I'm going to take you somewhere to a park. So she's getting super excited. And then he says, hey, come out of the shadows. I know you're following us. And a man in a dog mask comes out and faces off with them. And they have a little exchanging of fisticuffs. And we see our dog mask guy has the power to use wind. And then Marito ends up getting the upper hand on him and unmasking him. And we find out this is Nico's friend Kinchi. So when she moved to witch school, there's these things called tangos, which is a new one for me. It is a Japanese yokai. It's like a bird of prey and a monkey and a human kind of thing. I couldn't really make out the picture on Wiki too much, but that's a new thing for me, and I was not aware of that one. So he just wanted to test out the ogre to make sure. Supposedly he is her crow familiar. He's also tasked with protecting her. And he's this outgoing, nonstop talking kind of guy. So the opposite of Marito, who's the quiet, solemn type. He's relaxed, carefree, and all that kind of stuff. So he goes, I wanted to test you, make sure you were up to it. And supposedly he goes, and he also pushed back that the tangos and ogres have this long-standing rivalry with each other. And he's going off about the rivalry. And he goes, yeah, you're just being jealous. Like, we don't have any rivalry with you. We don't think about you guys. And it's like, you're just looking for things to be upset about. So she casts another spell, which makes his umbrella talk, which kind of gives away some of his secrets. That he spends all his money. He's very loose with his money, and he took the job as a familiar for paid, for money, for the allowance money that comes with it. And the reason why he's staying hidden is because his goal was to find and vanquish the bad person, whatever the evil thing was, on his own, so that he could one up the ogre. So he ends up moving in with them. And she wants them to get along better, so she cast a spell that's supposed to make, the one become super friendly to the other one. And it is very friendly. So they cast on something to eat. Marito eats it, then Kinchi eats it, and Marito has this. They have this makes someone have a super close bond, which kind of freaks Kinchi out because it almost looks romantic. It's like almost as close to romantic as you can get. Just wants to pretty much put his arm around him and hug him, causing him to freak out and take off running. Where he runs into some kids. They have a balloon stuck in a tree. He saves the balloon, but he drops the candy sticks on the ground. He's, you kids, you can have them. So the first kid eats it, which causes Kinchi to now want to be best friends with that kid. Then his little brother eats it, which makes the bigger brother brother or friend. All the way down. Then the dog eats one. So now they have this big long thing, and they all want to just put their arm around each other. So another spell that went a little. So they talk about her spells, and then the doorbell rings, and it's a package. So she goes to get it herself, and some clothes, and she puts on the dress, and she screams. The dress is infused with some evil magic, like the umbrella was, and it's by some evil doer who's after her. which puts eyes on her boobs, which one of the characters even jokes, why are the eyes there of all places? So it flies her out the door, and the heroes go after her, and the chase, and they come up with a plan. Kenshi shows that he can talk to birds and use those to help track people. Then they come up with a plan on how to save her. Kenshi uses his wind powers to blow Morito up in the air with his umbrella, who's able to get ahead of them and causes the dress freak, makes itself, sees him coming, so it makes itself stiff as steel, so it can't take damage, which is exactly what Morito was hoping it would do, so he could punch it and shatter it. And then they fall to there, of course, her and just her undergarments again. It's not that kind of show, I promise. It's not. We have very early on we had some fan service, but there's really sort of not really much. So that's really not a very big evident in this at all that I'm thinking of. I mean, there's some jokes, but there's no actually the typical kind of stuff you see in a lot of these movies. So it's pretty wholesome and clean. So our next episode, we start with most of the episodes are usually got these segments, 2 to 3 stories per episode, and some of the bigger episodes kind of stick to the main story for the whole thing. But so you kind of get multiple stories. So the first segment is the girls are showing is Kimu is showing off a fan art drawing she made of a manga she's a big fan of to the other girls. And the teacher's walking in, she overhears it, and she's like, wait a minute, that's my favorite manga. Wait a minute, I've seen all the fan art. She's like, I have 10,000 followers. She goes, wait a minute, there's no way I haven't seen you if you have 10,000 followers. So the teacher's doing all these deductions, and she figures out that she is her favorite fan artist that she loves the most. So she starts geeking out over her, and then the girl shows up like, wait, why are you talking about why'd you say my name? And so she ends up getting the teacher to out her. She's like, the teacher's trying to, no, I don't know anything about any of that. And she goes, there's you have the mangas on your desk. Because why, you don't have to hide it. Just if you like it, let me, we can talk about this stuff. I'd love to have someone to talk to about it. So she gets the teacher to come out with manga. So now they are now manga friends. That's what the entire segment is. All right, so now one of the most popular segments we're going to get in the show is her doing things for some of her classmates to help them out, even if it is sometimes a little weird. So the first one is a guy who wants the ability to not be noticed. And then they kind of question him about it, and it's because he poops a lot, and he's very nervous about going and pooping, about making it known that it's where he's going, and that he'll get harassed by people when he's in the stall. So they end up giving him the ability where he can go like that, and makes it harder for people to notice him. And after some hijinks, he makes it his way to the bathroom. Other people come in. The first guy starts to kind of sound like he's getting ready to give him a hard time, and one of his buddies is like, "Dude, what are you, 12? Let the man poop in peace." So he realizes, oh, it's just me being immature. It's like people aren't that bad anymore. So he's like, I don't need the spell anymore. But she helps him come to a realization about something. So she does a good deed, which causes her magic crystal to go from blue to slightly more towards white. She starts with a blue crystal, and when she gets a full-blown witch, it will be pure magic, good magic. It's white. So every time she does a good deed, it turns closer and closer to white. So that's kind of what we're watching with the good deeds, is watching her crystal change. Meanwhile, they're being spied on by this dark-haired beauty standing on a tree branch, just staring inside the window. Could this be our mystery evil person? Or we're going to find out in the very next episode. Because next segment, actually. So the next segment is her spying on them. So we find out she has the ability to turn herself into a cat. And she's really introverted and kind of freaked out about anybody around her. She goes, even while she's spying on them, some people come up and talk to her behind her, which freaks her out and causes her to run. So she starts following them, and she turns herself into a cat along the way. And then they spot the cat, and they invite the cat inside. And then Kenshi and Niku try to pet her, and she don't want to be touched. So she's trying to avoid them at all costs, and she ends up on Morito's lap. She goes, let me show you guys how you pet a cat. So he goes, first you got to, touch her chin. And so while he's doing that, you can see her imagining him actually touching her as a human. And So, so what we find out is she wants to be this awesome witch, and she is jealous that Niku has a ogre as a familiar, because she didn't even know that was an option that she could do that. So she's really jealous of that, and she also thinks Marito is a very good-looking guy, so she's kind of crushing on him a little bit. I know which way we're not going that way. I mean, so well, there's a little bit of that, but he doesn't. Well, our character doesn't act on anything. So but she's too nervous to go up and talk to him. But so when he jumps on her and he touches that, she's like super like, oh my god, I can't believe this is that. And then he starts petting her back, and she's pretty much in bliss, and she's like so comfortable she makes him fall asleep. But if she falls asleep, she turns back into a human. So she ends up passing out. She wakes up laying on the couch and about to freak out because she's about to be discovered, but nobody's paying attention to her because Kinchi was opening up these evolution of man figures, and he got the last one he needed. So they're all like excited and looking at that. She's able to tiptoe and sneak out the patio door. So she escapes. There's where he's petting her, and she's in bliss. So the next episode, we have Niku noticing that Marito's Moa's getting popular with the ladies. All a bunch of ladies are talking about him. They're all yelling hi at him and stuff like that. And she's kind of getting paranoid about all these girls. They're starting to like him, and she wants them to notice her. So, and while they're doing I can't remember his short name, so I got to keep calling him Marito. It's Moi, Mao. I think it's like Maui. So he's training. He's got a blindfold on, and she has a magic where she shoots a bunch of leaves in the air, and he's able to boom, 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 grab every single one of them without looking. And then she kind of like makes an innuendo about a love innuendo about that goes over that he doesn't pay attention to. But Kinchi overhears and he goes, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" So he questions her about it, and she tries to hide it at first, but then comes out and admits it. Yeah, yes, I do, but he doesn't like anything. And then which obviously he lives there. He's like, yeah, he's pretty deadpan. So they come up with a plan to try and get him to notice her by doing the famous anime technique of the wind in the hair. So they know his lunch routine, so they're setting it up so that, and then Kenji's going to cause a wind gust to blow her hair in there, so he could notice her wind blowing in the hair and knows how gorgeous she is. And while he does notice her hair, and he's like, "Wow, that's a lot of wind. What's going on?" But he still keeps his typical deadpan face. So she's thinking, I need more wind. So she like tells him to crank up the wind. He overdoes it, which causes her hair to go absolutely crazy like a possessed demon. So he starts to freak out a little bit over it. Another PE teacher is walking up into everything. What the hell's going on? And she gets too close, and all the papers she was carrying just starts blowing away. And this has got every girl in the school's measurements. So she's freaking out, and then you hear all the girls in the school start freaking out. But Marito uses his abilities of jump around through the air and catch it and grab every single piece of paper, and then he hands it back to the teacher saying, "I didn't see a thing. I didn't read anything." So now he's the hero with the girls, and now all the girls are more into him, and she's even more worried about it. So then we get to the next episode where she's giving a girl a love charm bracelet to help her find a love and a boyfriend. And to which another boy overhears it, and he invites her to meet him under the lover's tree on the field trip. So we're getting the legend of the lover's tree, because you got to have a legend. And every one of these slice of life romance animes, there's always the legend. Quintessential quintuplets had like, which funny I mentioned that right there. Had like several legends, the bell and the campfire and stuff like that. So she kind of brings up that, so she thinks this boy is going to make a love confession to her. Especially the legend is if a boy and a girl share food together under the tree, they're like bound to be in love. But so she's bringing up, possibility of her dating someone else, her getting a boyfriend in front of Marito, who's like, you know what, it's your life. I'll be happy for you if that's what happens. So she's getting depressed because she's getting, not getting the vibe she wants from that he's into her. She goes, I'm not a little girl anymore. So she kind of runs off ahead and they get separated a little bit. When they're separated, Rito sees this guy sitting here who has a design, like a bullseye on his bag. So he goes up to ask him about it. And he just said, "Oh, it's from a band, this little known band. Was almost as big as the Beatles, but no one knew him." He found this guy's kind of a hipster loner. Like, yeah, man, I'm into this stuff that no one else is into, kind of person. His name is Kiego, and he's also reveals that he also makes YouTube videos and stuff like that to him. So they kind of bond because obviously Marito Maui's got a thing for older clothing. While they're doing that, she spots the lover's tree and has all those people underneath it. So she's like, oh my God. So she goes over, she finds the guy she was invited to meet, and he's got a whole entourage of people with him, and she thinks they're all about to confess to her. So she's freaking out. And then they all go, we all want love bracelets. She said, well, like, why are we doing that here? It's like, well, we thought your love bracelets with the love of the tree would make the make them work even better. To which she's like, that's not how it works. Then you get a couple guys kind of like calling out some of their desires. And then one person says, and I've looked it up, there's a similar line in both versions, so it wasn't just a dub thing in. So in the dubbed, says something, I heard that it would make quintuplets love me. And the Japanese one, it says something like that. And then in the Japanese one, it's, I heard I'll get I'll get quintuplets as fiancés. That stuck out to me. It's like, wait a minute, that has to be a quintessential quintuplets reference. It's like there's no other way that could be. That has to be a little call out, which just might be just an anime call out because I did not see any connection between the two shows. It's different writers. Yeah, pretty sure it's different studios. I don't notice any of the same voice actors, even though a lot of these voice actors do repeat. So I mean, like I said, I called out Dragon Ball Z, and I think it's name dropped a few other mangas here and there, animes, and it's really in on the joke that it's an anime, so and slash manga. So just cute little reference since we know that's a video I've covered on the channel, like 5 videos on the channel of. So I thought that was funny. But to get away from these people, she uses a spell to make herself tiny, so they can't find her. So she's able to get on her broom and she goes flying away. As she's flying off, she runs into something, and it is Maui's coat, shirt. She runs into it and she falls into his pocket. Now, keep in mind, this is the guy we saw grab leaves out of the air and then grab papers out of the air, but he does not notice a person about that big ram into his chest and fall in his pocket. But whatever. He's talking to this girl here who's making his. So she's pretty much asking him to go out with her. She's enamored with him, and he's like, "I'm thrilled for your. I'm thrilled for your. You know, I'm happy that you know, or pleased or something that she's doing it." But he's like, "But we don't know each other. I don't know you. It's like I have to turn you down because I don't know you," which is a reasonable, honest opinion. Like, why would I date you if we just some random stranger? And she's trying to say, "Well, I know you. I saw you help an old lady on the across the road or on the train track at a train station." So she's like totally like fall for him, but he's pretty much turns her down. So she starts asking him if there is someone else that he likes. And at he's saying, no, I don't like anyone like that. I don't. Which so she's in the pocket over here and all this. So she's now super depressed that she's pretty much saying is she's hearing what she doesn't have a chance. So while he says that, he does says, but I do have someone that's special to me, and she gets in trouble a lot, and I have to be there and I have to be ready to take care of her. So she realizes that he's talking about her and that that he considers her special and that it's his job to protect her and that's all he lives for is doing his job. So she's starting to feel better. At least I know at least she's knowing that he has some feelings towards her. So the girl then asks, like, well, is there a moment that you knew that person was special? Which causes her to have a flashback to a scene where Her father left them. Her and her mother has left her and her mother following an incident where her magic went wrong and she blew a big chunk of the house up. And she's sad and depressed because all she wanted was to have her father in her life, and her father to hold her up in the air and stuff like that, like a dad does. And Marito's like reaches out and he grabs her and hugs her and goes and holds her up in the air. He's like, "I'm strong. I can do that for you." And that's the moment she fell in love with him. And you see her; she's in his pocket there. She's like kind of cuddling a ball, and there's like a thing showing that that's where her heart. I've seen this in anime a lot, where the heart they'll show the person falling in love by their heart. If the heart's beating, that means they're in love. So she has that moment. Her heart's beating, but still a little down because she didn't get the answer she's wanted from him. But all of a sudden, behind her, she starts to hear his heartbeat, and it's like, wait, what? And he goes, "Yeah, there's something special I could think about," and that's where he leaves it open ended. So she knows that yes, there is. He has something there, a little bit. But he's like, "Well, I need to go find someone because we're supposed to be eating lunch together." She's like, "Oh crap, I gotta get out of this pocket. My spell's about to wear off." So she gets on her little wand and starts flying off the meat out of his pocket. All of a sudden, like she gets hit by this big gust of wind that knocks her off her wand. And that's when her spell turns her back to normal size. And Rita looks up, sees her falling at him, freaks out, and catches her. And like, wait, what are you doing? Nothing. So then they go off to go eat their lunch, and we cut to Kinshi in a tree. So clearly he used his wind magic to knock her backwards to cause them to have a little moment their little moment together. So he's all proud of himself. Then he gets yelled at for somebody to tell him to get out of the tree, and it's this old guy who starts talking to him and asking him questions like, "Oh no, it's not like that," because then he brings up the lover's tree. And the old man's like, funny thing about legends is they evolve over time. That's not the lover's tree. I know what the lover's tree is. And he's like, how did you know this kind of stuff? He goes, and his wife shows up. He goes, because I'm the one who invented the legend. And this is the results of it. So they start walking away. He goes, that's the lover's tree. And then Kenshi looks over, smiles, because that's where they decided to eat their lunch together. Oop, mouse. So he's all happy. He's like, they're under the lover's tree. Her two friends start to show up looking for him. And he's like, no, they're not over this way. Let's go over this way. Let's go to the lover's tree and eat lunch. And the loudmouth friends, oh, are you going to make a love confession to me, Kenshi? And he's like, no, God, no. So then we get to our next episode. And the first segment is a filler episode, a filler segment. Those two are like singing. And he comes and busts in. He's like, you know what time at night it is? And they point out and they show that they're trying to make YouTube videos. So Marita starts looking over their YouTube videos. They don't have a lot of views. I know that pain a lot because I don't get a lot of views. I make these just for the hell of it. Maybe I'll get lucky someday. But if I get the 30 views, usually I'm happy. So please, view, like, comment, subscribe. Perfect segment for that. So he's like, your view count's low, and it looks like it's just you guys and your family members giving you views, and all your comments are your family members. So I know somebody who told me they do YouTube. Well, I guess what are they? WeTube videos. Guess you don't want to get sued there. So he takes them to meet Kigo. Since he makes YouTube videos, so they start looking at watching one of his videos, and they're very boring and long and make no sense. He kind of strays off subject a lot and doesn't talk about much. I mean, I kind of do the same thing, I guess, a little bit, but I don't think some of the stuff what they were complaining about, I was like, he's not doing anything bad there either. But they realize his video content is super boring, but he has good thumbnails, good music, good production value. So Marito's like, all right, I'm taking over this. I'm going to do this. So he cast Kyogo to Kiji. Oh, I can't remember how to say his name. We need pronunciation guides. Kiko to be the production guy. Supposedly, I think he had a game he developed himself or some other game. Somebody he knew someone that developed. So he decides he's going to have Nico play that while Nico's on screen playing it, and Kinchi's just going to do voiceover stuff. We'll talk in, you'll just hear his voice. So they play this game about a grasshopper, and she's absolutely horrible at it. And the game goes really bad. The game is really bad, and it goes really bad. But the video goes viral. They get tons of views. And then Rita says, like, yeah, because we have a cute girl. That's, using her for her spot. Using Kigo for the production stuff, which is where he's good at. And goes, and Kinchi, your voice lines are what's nice and catchy. So, boom. So they do like a couple more videos that, get lots of views. And then when they go to make the next video, Marita's ready to make the next video, and they're like, we're bored with that now, which is what he knew was going to happen all along. And that's the whole point of that segment. Not really much to go by there. So we go back to her helping. So we have this popular girl in school, and she's worried about because this is like some real popular girl, and she's like real cultured, and she thinks she's really cultured, and she goes she's probably the perfect type of girl for him. So she's kind of worried about it, and then she goes, wait a minute. She sees the girl's handwriting. She goes, her handwriting is atrocious. She finds out this girl's kind of a mess, and she's over stressed by her family, and her grandma's coming to town and is going to make her do this tea ceremony test, which she's worried about because her grandma's super strict and she don't think she can do it. So she gives the spell where she casts a spell, whatever Marito does, she has to do because her vision is to have him direct her through the test because he's super good at precision and manners and doing all that kind of stuff. So they plan to rehearse it, but then the grandma shows up early, so they have to actually go through it, and it leads to a bunch of hijinks because we're finding out things they didn't know. Like when Marito speaks, she speaks. So she says whatever he says he didn't know. So that kind of causes a movement there. Also, I'm trying to just make sure he has the right spatial management and how much strength to use on a door. So he ends up like slamming a door open after struggling to open it, to find the right spot. And then there's a thing where they would scoot on the floor to get into the right spot. Well, he's doing it using his man strength because he's a big bulky guy. So when she does it, it's causing her to hop up in the air a little bit when she does it because she's exerting too much strength. So all kinds of little comedy of errors here where it's going terrible. She ends up failing the test, but a giant hornet goes to attack her grandma, and Rito grabs a ladle and is able to smack and kill the hornet, making the grandma come around and give her a pass after all. So she pretty much learned no shortcuts, do it yourself. But so that one works out fine. So then we get to where Marito's getting on Kinchi for not having the money to cover his half, and says you need to get a job. He says no more, you need to make money. So he shows him a job offer to play a Sentai in a park production. They need someone to be the main character because the stunt guy that was in that outfit got hurt and couldn't do it. So Kinchi shows off that he can do all the, high martial arts moves, so he gets the job. So they're going through a rehearsal with the main actor who's like playing the character outside of the costume, and Kinchi's supposed to sit back and watch, and it is dreadfully boring and slow. There's like scene with the guy's wife, and him and his wife aren't talking, so these weird. I had to get waiting on a bus. So I used to keep doing these words like how is this relevant? How is this this isn't relevant? And then all of a sudden, there's a girl from his work, and she goes, "I know you're married, but I can't help but have these feelings." And now he's like, "All right, now I'm interested." Now and then it turns out that the girl turns out to be the evil alien boss, and so that's when he steps in and he told pretty much how he puts a rehearsal like that. So he does his rehearsal part. Then he runs into the guy that's playing the big giant green alien in the suit. That's that green giant alien. And he was the original actor that played in the Ottoman suit, but they took him out of the position because he got hurt. Even though now he's all bad because his son was looking forward to him being Ottoman, and now he's going to be disappointed. So Kinji comes up with a plan. So he lets him put in the Ottoman suit, and he puts on the bad guy suit. and they change some parts of the play they rewrite the play themselves, and then they have Automan do like he tries to like just do something to me. So he throws this really weak kick, and Kenji goes bouncing all over the place. Then he does a weak punch, and Kenji does all this overselling like that, and the crowd loves it, eats it alive. Director's picks is ticked off because they didn't follow the script, so they don't get paid. But it is feel good moment. To which Marito's, she's like, all right, you did something good. I'll give you more time. You have till the end of the month. And the month comes by, so the end of the episode shows that he didn't find any work, and this is a playoff something during the play. So after the Automan beats the bad guy, he goes back to his wife and finds out that he forgot about their anniversary. So she's like, "I must punish you," and she treats him. Automan becomes an Ottoman. So he starts throwing at the Kinchi since he hasn't done his part of the job, he hasn't provided money. So that gets us to our next part where he is desperate to make money so he doesn't have to be an Ottoman anymore. So he has a job work from home where he's got to count out the number of screws and put them in a bag, and he's bored to tears. So he asks for a spell that make things go faster. So he gets a spell making himself move 10 times faster. But there's the catch. He knows, so he's still living his normal life. He's just going everything around him is 10 times slower. So the spell's supposed to last 3 days, so for him it's going to be the equivalent of 3 months. I think it was 3 months or 1 month. I think it was 3 months. So he can't communicate with anybody because he talks too fast and they move so slow that he can't make out anything they're saying. So he's kind of like, they all feel bad because he's kind of stuck on an island. Where he's kind of alone and can't do anything. Towards the end, he gets his job done, so he does that part works. But he teaches himself how to talk real slow so that he can so he can at least talk to him. And then the spell finally wears off, and now everything he says is way too slow. So now he's got to learn to teach himself how to talk normal again. So just another little fun filler episode. So the things are we get a filler. So we're getting a lot of fun filler segments, then a story segment, which brings us back to it was Kara, right? Let me see some of these names. Yeah, Kara. So we go back to Kara, who's got a bunch of shredded papers in front of her. She goes, "I'm sorry to take you away from your weekend, but I need to know if you can use your spell to put these back together." Because here I have a dress. You can, it's one of my favorite dresses. I'm willing to sacrifice it. And Nikki's like, "Well, I need a bunch of dresses because that looks like it's a bunch of different letters." So I was like, it ended up fixing everything. So I don't think we can do it. And then she goes, "That's all right. It was just a letter from my dead mother, and my father didn't want me to see it. I'm pretty sure what it says is my father's not my real father," which is like, I already kind of feel that way about it. It doesn't change anything how I feel towards him. Because she overheard somebody saying something about it earlier when they thought she was sleeping. So this moves them. So they all start. So Marito, Maui, and Niku start going through because it's a piece of green paper. So they start pulling out all the green strips, so they can try and find all the right strips, so they can fix that letter. They are successful, and then she becomes shocked when reading the letter to find out it wasn't her father. It was her mother. That the one that died was not her actual real mother. It was her stepmother who came to love her father and her after her mother took off on them. And then the dad comes in and they have this confrontation there, but it's just it just doesn't change anything. I love both of you still, and it's a really soft emotional moment here. So this show can break away, and it's where they kind of can jab at you every now and then with one of these. So another feel good moment for her, helping a student, and then we see another student come for help, and he needs help. He's asked because he has this weird pattern of talking. So he learned how to talk from his father, who was an English teacher in Japan. So he has this weird way of talking. It sounds kind of like AI in a way. but he wants to talk to a girl he likes, but he's afraid that talking like that would spook her off. So he asks for a spell to change the way he talks, but unfortunately Nico doesn't have one. So they give him a bunch of confidence and to make him feel pop him up with confidence to do it on his own. So the girl comes out and he starts talking to her, and when she starts talking, it's revealed that she talks exactly like he does. So they're a perfect match. So they decide to go on a date, and then they both come over and thank the group that's hiding behind the bushes watching them, because that don't look weird at all. So then we get some Maui moments. Points out that no one can read expressions off of him. That he's got the poker face. So he asks for is there a spell to show it makes it easier for people to see his emotions. So she casts it, and what it does, it puts a little emote on top of his head that will act out however he's feeling. So if he's questioning something, he'll do that. If he's excited about something, he's going to get super excited. If something's scary, so pretty much him and Nico kind of have like would go out like a not official date. It's a date, but they don't really point out that it's a date. It's totally a date. So they go out to eat, they go to a movie, and then they go to a fireworks show. So she's always looking up and seeing the little guy doing a horror movie. He's all scared, and something's funny. He's laughing, and you can tell when he's excited about something. So she's able to use that to get a view on him. So we ask about it. Was it working? She's like, yeah. She's kind of telling the results. And she goes, and then she turns off the spell, and then he's at the fireworks. I want to apologize. I don't mean to do it on purpose. I will try and work on it to show you my emotions more. So we can see our homie here is trying to, make some changes. He's trying to incorporate the people and become more personable, which is always good change. So the next episode opens with her taking a student, flying her up high on her broom wand so she can get some aerial shots, is what her wish was. And then when she lands, her and Rita are walking. All of a sudden, a rose comes out of nowhere and stabs into concrete. And it is the student council. So they first run into is Ibarra, the vice president. So and she's going off, and she's being sassy, seductress, kind of stuff like that. And Marita's like, "Dude, you're an anime trope." He's like, "What the hell?" And he goes, "Wait a minute, I've heard I've heard all of the student council people are anime tropes. Just bring them out. I know they're here." So they all start coming out and revealing themselves. The next one was Yuzuro, who's the cold calculating big kahuna type. He only opens his eyes when he says something like important. He's the mysterious and devious character type. Then we meet the twins, Syrup and Kermitsya. Syrup here is your typical tsundere. She's being all hard, but then she shows her loving side. Meanwhile, Karatsu is the kudadera. So always talking in the dark, deeper stuff, kind of So there's that. Another couple tropes there. Then we get the tech whiz kid, Riro. The buff brawler, Asuto. The psycho, Kyoko, which I didn't know that was an anime trope. Psycho anime trope. Charged with general affairs. He learns to lick knives and pretending to be psychotic. He uses it, cuts up his own tongue. I didn't know that's an anime trope, but okay, we'll go with it. Then the final member is Daka. He wears a cardboard mask that he and acts like a robot. I guess that's an anime trope to being a cyborg, maybe. Which causes our Maritos to go, "You guys trying to get sued by Marvel?" So like I said, we got some fourth wall breaking. So then they pretty much say that she's not allowed to use, that they've decided she can't use magic at school anymore, and and Maui sticks up for that, saying that's no, nope, you're not doing that. And so as he's confronting them, then the president comes down, Tinnaru, who we find out is related to the girl who had to do the tea thing earlier. That's her brother. So he wants Rita to join the student council. This is because he's a cool, obedient fighting guy. So he fits that cool, obedient fighting guy trope. The I guess solo leveling trope. He always has his hand on the lid of his hat, but he can't let go because he cannot let go of his hat. So that's the leader kind of trope. I'm not sure what trope he was supposed to be again at the time. So Marito refuses and says Nico's going to continue using magic. He don't want them. The reason he's all for the magic because he goes, magic helped my sister. I'm all for that because they don't like the use of magic because it's making them less popular. So all the characters meet on a roof. And they watch this video where we find out that he does pretty much all the work for the group. The rest of the group slacks off. Then the leader finds him on the roof and pretty much issues a challenge that if he ever is able to land a blow on Morito, he must join the student council. Then we cut back to Cat Lady. Did I say her name? Her name is Mimu Meow. Of course, it's Meow. So she's working up the courage to finally try and talk to Morito. She's trying to ring the doorbell, but then she gets scared feet and decides not to do it. So she's getting ready to leave. She turns around the corner. And here comes Morito walking up by himself because she was worried about the other people being there. So she's starting to psych her up that okay, this is it. I have to do it. I have to do it. As he goes to his door, there she is in her cat form. So she was unable to do it. So he lets her in. Some hijinks, and then she ends up getting a drink spilled on her. So Maui decides to take her into the bathroom to clean her, give her a bath. And so he's trying to say, he's saying, the good things to try and get, do that, but it's also kind of sounded like something you could say to a girl. So she's kind of like freaking out what to do. And he's like, oh, I don't have a brush, so I guess I have to do it with my hands. And now all of a sudden, now she's in. So he's cleaning her. She's imagining him like giving her a head shampoo. And then he's scrubbing her with bubbles. And so she's thinking of like bubble poetry. And then he's blowing her hair with a hair dryer. And so she's in complete bliss. And once again, she falls asleep just to wake up and this time not be noticed because all three of them are watching a comedy variety show, so they're distracted. So she's able to sneak out in the patio again. And she takes off running to get away. And next thing you know, she's running through a forest. And all of a sudden, she has this spider sense thing go off, which is called an alert spell. And that usually means a warlock, which is an evil magic user, is nearby. So she turns into her cat and she sees a shack. She starts investigating it and she finds these two people talking to each other. They're talking about getting their plans in order, everything in order, so they can go. They're after Niku. So she escapes and knows that she needs to go warn Niku of the threat. And that's where the next episode starts, with her in the rain with an umbrella, meeting up with them. First off, we see Kenshi go off because he goes on a patrol because whenever it rains, he goes off on a patrol to see if there's anything bad around. So she confronts them and says who she is, and Rito first thinks that she might be the bad guy. So then we see Kenshi saves Kigo from a bully who wants his shoes and is bribing about this piece of candy that's supposed to like empower him. So he takes the bully and starts asking about it, and he's like, "It's just candy." And he finds out it's candy infused with magic, and he finds out the person that gives it out is someone called Wolf. So he's pretty much saying he needs to find this Wolf guy. Meanwhile, our kitty cat lady is now back at their place. So and Nico knows. I think she knows her, but she definitely knows the family. She knows she's the witch next in the city next door, and she has a lot of respect for them and stuff like that. And so pretty much she reveals about the two characters that she heard saying they're coming after Nico. And then she's trying to figure out why, and it's because Niku is the witch of 1,000 spells. She's a prophecy, supposedly a big prophecy witch. So find out that she is a big deal in the witch community. And then we cut back to him on the street. All of a sudden, the guy with white hair walks up to him and let's go talk. And then we see they're into a fight, and Kinchi pretty much gets his ass beat. And when he finally gets back home, they have to heal him up, and they decide they need to go find out who this wolf guy is and investigate these candies that are called drops, rain drops. Wolf, who has so while chasing down one of the people with it, they get help from Kiego, who says he stops so they get more information from him, and he shows that I found the website where you can order these things, so I gave him my information, and I'll keep you guys posted on what happens. So they're pretty much finding out that anybody who's taking these pills are getting infused with this magic from the summer, and they're becoming his dogs. Meanwhile, Kitty Cat Lady is trying to figure out how she found that building, and then she realized it must have been a magic space. And she imagines that she must have fell into it when it turned in as a cat, but we know she wasn't a cat technically when it happened because she was running as a human. So she turns into a cat and she finds the sigil and is able to enter there again. She overhears their plan, and as she's trying to escape, they catch her, and he hits her with a sleeping potion. Then they get the warning that he got his alert on his phone that they were summoning all the dogs to come and make a march on and attack their home, attack Marito's home. So they go on the offensive and they go out to meet them head on themselves. So we have a scene where all four are running down a street, and Kigo asks Nico about her healing factors, and Rita's like, it can only heal recent wounds. It can't heal anything that's been there for a while. I know. I already asked about your leg. So they're under the impression that he's told them that he was a figure skater, and he had to quit because he was in a car accident that injured his leg, and it's never been right since. So it's not up to where he can compete. But Marita Moe showing that, hey, I asked about that for you because I thought maybe we could. And he goes, and she told me no, it has to be something recent. Only something recent can be healed. So Kyo goes, oh, okay. Well, my shoe's untied. So he stops and starts shoe and says, oh, you guys go ahead, I'll catch up. And so the other two run off one way, and Rita goes this way, and as he steps on a manhole cover that has the sigil on it makes him fall through to this pocket dimension, and then Kiego jumps through and follows him. The other two have no idea where they went. So he lands down there, and he kind of reveals that he's backstabbing him. That he made a deal with this warlock because the warlock said he has a potion a healing potion. So got him to sign up to join him, and now that he has to do what he says. And we find out he's the wolf. He's a werewolf. So he's the witch. So he's the warlock's familiar. So when he's the wolf, knows all his memories from him as Kyogo, but he doesn't have the memories of the wolf. So we get in the face down between those two as they start to fight. The other two find where all the dogs are gathering, and they know that they need to do is take out the warlock to free them all. So they use the spell. It makes them hard to notice, and they trying to go through the crowd to find them, but the warlock catches onto their presence He can't. So he starts having everybody start swinging wildly, even if they hit each other. So they have to go to Plan B. So their Plan B is they have Nico fly over the crowd until she spots. She gets her alert spell tells her which one is the warlock. So then she calls it out to Kinshi, who's comes after him wearing his invisible. He has a cloak where he can make himself invisible for like 7 seconds. But the warlock is onto it, so he starts throwing attacks at him and knocking him back. And all of a sudden, another Kinshi comes flying out of the air and whacks him with his wand. So they used the spell to make split him in half. So one half was the diversion, while the other one could land the attack. Meanwhile, then the mage was inside the person's head, so he comes out, and the warlock's only like 5 inches tall. So they capture the warlock, and that's when Kitty Cat Nero shows up. It's like, oh yeah, sorry, I found everything out, and they slow me down, and she mentions where the other two at, and she goes, yeah, and she knows now that the werewolf is Kyogo. And they demand that the warlock open the portals to take him there. Meanwhile, our other two guys are fighting back and forth, and Marito's kind of struggling a little bit because it's hard for him. He can't predict the wolf's attacks, so they're too randomized. So he gets knocked back, and as he charges, he falls on the slippery goo because that was the plan, because the friends have joined in. So they join in, but Nico is out of magic. Is exhausted from her magic power, so it causes Marito to have to do some, to try, strategizes to use his own abilities against him, till he's able to land a final blow and knock him out. Are to get united, and they're happy to see that both of each other are worried about each other. Kind of starts with her kind of stumbling into starting to go for a hug, and then realizing she shouldn't hug him, and then he just grabs her and hugs her anyway. So he's happy she's okay, and she feels bad because he's got all beat up again, and she couldn't help him, and blames herself. They tried to confront the warlock for information, who just fades in the dust and dies, because he has a master who he didn't get the name, so there's someone else bigger out there. Kyogo wakes up and doesn't expect anything from everybody. Pilot says, I'm free now. At least I'm free of their charms, and so he feels bad about everything. And they all come around to check on him and help. He's like, wait, why are you guys being nice to me? What I just did to you? Like, well, no, we're mad at you, but we want to at least hear you out. So he tells a story, and it's not that it had nothing to do with it. So first off, they have to get clean, so it's bathhouse time, and that's the most fan service you get in these 12 episodes. So it's like, I'm mad at you, but I want to give you a chance because we're friends, and I'm not going to turn on you. Because you said you called us friends, and with tears in your eyes, I knew you meant that. So talk to me. So we find out his leg was fine. That's not what he didn't want to do figure skating anymore. That's why he quit. The person he was worried about was his mother. When from the car accident, she was put in a wheelchair. She lost her ability to walk, and he was wanting the spell, the potion, to heal her. Now he was lied to, because the warlock did not start off as a witch. They got their magic powers developed later, so they didn't have the spell. So there is a spell that could heal any wound, and it's usually when a witch is born, they take the umbilical cord and they can make it into a healing potion that would that from the emergency call for. So Niku decides to give it to the mother, and so she can walk again, and they're indebted to him. The mother then has to go to work overseas, so Kyogo needs a place to live. So he moves in with our group. So now we have 3 familiars with the witch. So we have you could say it's a male harem, except for only one character is interested in the female. So pretty much the only love interest she has really has been him. Now the cat girl is kind of interested in him, Nero, and a couple of the girls at his school kind of expressed interest in him, but there's no real other girl that's really done much of it because he's done nothing with this one. So it's still pretty much a straight up these two a romance between these two. So there's no throw ins there, and they've had their first run in with some bad guys, and we know there's someone even worse out there. So that means we're still getting more bad guys, more of her using her magic to try and expand her magic, and then we're obviously some filler stuff in the way. We are I do I know we're going to go back to the teacher and the art and the student who love manga again. We're going to have some more to play in a storyline that whatever. But yeah, so that's the first half. So that's the big climax with a big battle at the first half. So we can build it to the second half. That'll be the next video. And so until then, Cachorro out.